After a tremendous year in sports video games for the 2005 sports video game year, we saw changes that were not great for the genre. We saw 2 licenses go completely or almost completely exclusive. The big one of those, of course, being the NFL license, which was awarded to Electronic Arts or EA Sports. There was going to be no more NFL 2K, which broke a lot of hearts. ESPN NFL 2K5 is considered by some, if not many, to be one of the best video games of all time in terms of sports, certainly in terms of football simulations. But we would not see that again. Although we want to talk about All-Pro Football 2K8 being a thing, and certainly is a game of quality where Visual Concepts did what it could with the players it could license, it just could not reach the same heights that ESPN NFL 2K5 did. The other license that would change hands took place after the 2005 sports season was the change in hands of the Major League Baseball license. We had 2 very good baseball video games for the 2005 sports year. One is considered one of the best of all time, and that is MVP Baseball 2005. Major League Baseball 2K5 certainly held its own and had some great presentation, but I think many will agree that MVP Baseball 2005 really stands out. In fact, MVP Baseball 2005, much like ESPN NFL 2K5, is still supported today with additional players, rosters, and depth charts and lineups. This game is one of the best baseball simulations of all time, and unfortunately, when the Major League Baseball license for third-party publishers wound up going exclusive, EA Sports did not win that battle. It went to 2K. So MVP Baseball, this was the last licensed MVP Baseball game. EA tried to save face by going with the NCAA for the next couple of years, but unfortunately the NCAA does not carry the same weight as Major League Baseball, and the series would eventually vanish. So we had a sport with one third-party publisher being 2K, and the games kind of were there. The games varied in quality from year to year. There were some up years, there were some down years, but it was really the only choice you had. The interesting thing about the exclusive license for Major League Baseball is that it only applied to third-party publishers, which meant that EA or Konami or Capcom or 2K or anybody of that sort was out except for 2K. 2K had that license, but if you were Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo, what we call a first-party publisher, you could make your own Major League Baseball game, which meant that Sony was still in the game. Now, for the 2005 sports year, many people forget MLB 2006. This game, however, is important in that it laid the foundation for a series of games that still exists today. If we take a look at the back of the case, you'll notice the graphics look a little familiar, and you see the tagline at the top, "Welcome to the show." Now remember, this came out in 2005. But what would happen next laid the groundwork for one of the most popular baseball video game series ever, and the subject of this week's episode of Unsealed. Behold, MLB 06 The Show, the very first game in this series for the PlayStation 2, released in February of 2006, 15 years ago. And as we sit on the precipice of yet another release of MLB The Show for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, I thought it made sense to go back to the beginning when the show was new. And let me tell you, this game blew me away with some of the things that it did, especially being so late in the PlayStation 2's lifespan. This game got a lot of stuff right. See that on the front cover there? That is David Ortiz. David Ortiz, of course, big in Boston, just a big guy in general, but one of the most popular Boston Red Sox players ever. So to have him on the cover to lead the series off made a lot of sense, because just like David Ortiz, MLB The Show would eventually become a big deal. And again, if you look at this, late generation PlayStation 2 graphics, that looks great for a PlayStation 2 console. And when we got to the PlayStation 3, the graphics did not suffer or slow down a beat. There were maybe 1 or 2 seasons where the development team had to kind of get used to the developing for the new console, but over time, the graphics would improve, the gameplay would remain the same, which is great, and even more modes would be added. Let's take a look at some of these features, shall we? New Rivalry Mode lets you set up and maintain multi-game rivalries and heated matchups between multiple gamers. That's awesome. New King of the Diamond has pitchers and batters square off in a time showdown for point-based domination. So stealing a page out of the MVP playbook, we now have some mini games that keep players invested. That is great. New game time decisions bring more depth and strategy to franchise and season modes, forcing you to make tough decisions. Enhanced Career Mode incorporates an all-new career spotlight that underscores all of the highlights and lowlights of your career. That is great stuff. Deeper Franchise Mode with more intuitive control to efficiently run your ball club. You name it, you control it. New featuring Major League Baseball headline news and current online updates. So if you had your PlayStation 2 hooked up online, you would be able to get live updates as they were going on. This is all great stuff. The game looked great for the time, still looks pretty decent today, and plays well. And again, it laid the groundwork for what a lot of baseball video game fans on both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are going to get to enjoy in just a little bit of time if they're not enjoying it already getting the game pre-release. It is a very big deal, and this game right here is where it all started. So let's go ahead and open this up, take a look and see what's on the inside, and look at the instruction manual together. Let's open this up. I'm very excited about this. I think because I have vacation from work this week, I might actually spend some time with this and kind of reacquaint myself with the show here. When we open up the case, there isn't a seal on this because it's 2006. Those are all gone. So when we open up the case, unfortunately, the one of the instruction manual holders kind of snapped off. That's going to happen. But when we open it up, we do have the disc in here with Ortiz there, and we also have the instruction manual and a PlayStation Underground card that we can send in. We have talked about the PlayStation Underground cards in the past, so I'm not going to bore you with those details, but I will take this out and we'll take a look at the instruction manual together. The instruction manual is in color, kind of, a lot of blue here, but we have the instruction manual. We also have some McFarlane toys here being advertised, a League of Their Own, it says. These look pretty cool, honestly. And when we take a look on the inside of the manual, again, there's a lot of blue here, which doesn't make sense. You expect to see a lot more green, but it is in color. There are some screens in here that are in full color as well. And we have an entire section that walks you through the play controls. For baseball, which is such a simple game, there's certainly a lot of controls to learn, but it does not take long to figure them all out. So you do have exhibition, rivalry, career, franchise, season, home run derby, or king of the diamond. So you have a lot of gameplay modes right off the top. You can play a quick game, you can play online, create player profiles and view game tips, move players around, adjust rosters, edit players. You can set the options to play the game however you want, and you can load a game from a memory card. So there's a lot to do here. You can certainly play online, although I don't think you can play online anymore. I'm not exactly sure. There are leaderboards here and tournaments. The online play at this time was very good. And the best part of all, at least if you're asking me, is that the online play had nothing to do with DLC or patches or anything like that. The only reason online there, the only reason you had to connect your console is if you wanted to play with someone in a different part of the world or a different part of the country. Whereas now, if you have to have your console online, you have to download day one patches, and there's all kinds of DLC and other nonsense that I should go over in a different video. So career mode, your goal is to create a player and build a successful career earning postseason and career awards. The ultimate goal is to get your player inducted to the Hall of Fame. A career can be up to 10 seasons or longer if your player is still performing well. So here, much like Road to the Show that we see in the show games of more recent times, it sets the stage, gives you as a single player a lot to do. And if you're not interested in developing a player, you can certainly play in franchise mode and control the entire team rather than just yourself. Team morale and development, player management, trade central, business management. So you can make decisions about marketing, funding of facilities improvement, facility responsibilities, and more. It's very reminiscent of the owner mode from the Madden games, which I think is a good thing if you're into that kind of thing. The season mode is here, so you don't want to worry about franchise. You just want to play through a season. That is perfectly fine. 14 games, 29, 82, 162 if you have that kind of time. That is all available for you here. The Home Run Derby is here as well. There's meter and classic pitching if you're talking about how you want to play the game. Batting can be either timing or can be played a bunch of different ways. There's so much customization, and it is so easy to learn or as complex as you want it to be that makes the game a game that you want to come back to time and again. Controlled slides, there's profiles here. I think the music in the game, although I'm not sure whether it's listed here, they use some pretty decent tracks, although they are not listed here. Maybe they are. No, they're not listed here. I do believe this is the first year, or the second year, actually, that Matt Vasgersian does play-by-play. Vasgersian has always done a good job for the show series, and it is good to hear him kind of get his start when you're working with this. Again, this series just gets baseball right. From the mannerisms in the crowd, to the walk-up, to the reaction to the players, to the gameplay on the field, to the things you can do off the field. The show rocks. Maybe it skews a bit toward the simulation end, especially in more recent versions of the show for the PlayStation 4 and beyond. But MLB 06 The Show was fantastic and still is worth a revisit today if you can find it out there for your PlayStation 2. As always, I thank you for watching this episode of Unsealed. And until the next time, my friends, take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll see you again really, really soon.